Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear sister. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a woman who is aged 45 years old, and I have come here with my own confession. I have been keeping this confession in my heart for the past 25 or so years. So this is what happened to me. My father forcefully got me married to a man, even though he was from our same church. This man, he had lost his own wife, but he lost the wife under very mysterious circumstances. So my father, at first, it was as if he was all caring for me, but he did not. But with time, I then realized that my father only wanted me to get married to this man, simply because my father, he had been promised a good business deal by this man. He had been offered some money and a business contract. So my mother and my father, they forced me to get married to this man. When I got married to this man, I can say that life was really perfect. Like everything was just perfect. But when we went on our honeymoon, that was when I saw that it was not what I thought it was going to be. When we were on our honeymoon, my husband, he refused to touch me. Then we came back. I thought that finally I was going to be able to make love to my new husband, because I was still a virgin at that time. And when we returned back to Zim, because we went on our honeymoon to Mauritius for 3 months, I stayed with my husband, staying with a man, no sleeping with him, no touching, no what. When he would come to bed, he would be wearing a jacket and jean trousers every night. He did that. This was for 3 months. Then my late husband, one of his drivers, passed away. He had sent him on a business errand just outside of Harare. Then the man had a fatal road accident. The body was supposed to be taken to a nearby hospital close to the place where he had that accident. But no, my husband, he made sure that he used his financial resources. He made sure that the body will be taken back to Harare. The body of the deceased came to Harare, and I thought that my husband, when he was doing it, he was doing it because he was such a kind man. He started assisting the family. The body was taken to the mortuary. It then turned out later on that the mortuary, it belonged to one of his closest friends. And at that time, that was when my husband told me that he wanted us to go somewhere. He said that there was this other ritual that he wanted me and him to perform. So he said that this ritual that we were supposed to perform, it was going to protect our wealth. I did not even understand what he was trying to say the time that he told me that there was another ritual that we had to perform, and this ritual, it was going to protect his wealth. But I trusted him since he was my husband, and I believed that he knew what he was doing. But what happened on that night, I never imagined that it could happen in such a way. He led me to the mortuary. When we went to the mortuary, I saw the body of the man, that same man that used to work for my husband, the driver. The body, his body, it was on top of this other very big metallic table. The moment that we entered into the mortuary, then the body was removed and taken back to those drawers that they place the dead bodies. And then he said that we had to do this. He said, let us do this. Let us not waste any time at all. We need to do this. Then I trusted him. He then made me to sleep on top of that big metallic table. He literally forced me, and I climbed on top of the table, and I was just sleeping there. He then came on top of me, and then he started making love to me. That is how I lost my virginity. I lost it inside a mortuary. Brother Nashi, it pains me. After he had taken my virginity, I was still swollen down there. It was about a day after that when he took me to the grave, and then he was just going around with me. But we were in the car after the man had been buried. A few days later, he took me back to the same graveyard, and we went to the grave where that man had been buried. And he forced me to lie on top of that grave. and he made me to sleep on top of that grave. And since that night until my husband passed away, he passed away when I was 26, no child, nothing. My husband passed away after I had him. One day he was having a heated argument, and it turned out that he was having this heated argument with one who was his traditional healer. After that, my husband became ill, and long after that, he then passed away. So since that time until now, I have tried to build a new life. My husband, he left a lot of wealth for me. I inherited most of the stuff, the businesses, but they have since crumbled to the ground. The reason as to why I almost inherited everything that belonged to him, it was because his relatives, they did not want anything to do with most of the stuff that he had in the city. Those that were poor and too desperate, they were the ones that took some of his livestock, because my husband, he had a lot of cattle. So they went to the plot and they collected the cattle. But the other items, like your houses and the cars, they refused to take it. So at a very young age, I was now running a business that I could not even understand how it was making profit. The business quickly crumbled to the ground, and then I moved out of Zim. Right now that I am out of Zim, I am still trying to find love and inner peace. But what I've seen is that the moment that I start to date a man, then the man, if he tells me that he wants to stay with me, he will start to have these dreams, weird dreams. He will be chased by another man in his dreams, telling him that he is trying to steal his wife. This dead man says that I am his wife, and the dead man in the dream will be saying, "Why are you taking my wife away from me?" I once forced things with this other man who was also a strong Christian. We started staying together. This man, when I said, "No, let us break up, I love you and I do not want you to die," he had a dream. In his dream, he was being beaten by a man whom he said came out of the grave and showed him a ring and said that, "You see this ring, this is the ring that I gave to my wife. So if you take my wife, even God allows me to kill you." So I asked him, "What kind of a ring did this man show to you? What kind of a ring was he holding?" That was when I took out my wedding ring. He then said, "That is the same ring that the ghost was holding. This is the ring that I saw in my dreams." He said that this is the ring that he gave to you. So we prayed and we prayed. Later on in the evening, that man that I was staying with, he then started bleeding from the nose. It was a lot of blood, almost like a bucket full of blood. And then I said, "Please, let us break up. I don't have a child." And when I try to talk with my father about this, since he is someone who has a very big position in church, okay, let me just say it, my father is an overseer at church. He just tells me that I am not praying enough. I should pray to God. Then God is going to give me a man who is going to become my husband. Brother Nashi, I have dated almost 10 guys now. You mean all those guys that I have dated, there is no one amongst them that was suitable enough to become my soulmate. But my father is saying that the reason as to why I am being visited by this spirit of this man who claims that he married me, it is because I am not prayerful. Please assist me. Am I not being prayerful enough? So if I am not being prayerful enough, what exactly am I supposed to do? Please assist me. I'll be following through in the comment section. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister. That was a translation of a message that she sent to me. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.